Today I've got the craziest RNG game I think I've ever played, and we're in the Leningrad and we're in a full up tier. There's tier 9 ships here, so you know we're going to be spamming some HE. We're going to get so many fires this game that's single-handedly going to carry our damage and our team in this one. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure. Honestly, at certain points, I thought the game was being bugged out or there was an issue. I still have no idea if that's actually the case, but we're going to get insanely lucky in this one. First, though, we have to deal with this DD. There's a lot of ships coming to this flank, and if we're going to farm effectively, we can't be surprised by a destroyer fight. So we're going to send some torpedoes in and try and just go wide. Since the enemy team is essentially all coming to this flank, we need someone to spot. There's some incredibly strong islands and positions my teammates can take in the northern part of this map, but they need spotting. And that's what we're going to do in this one. Just to start with, do the spotting until our Unicum takes out the destroyer. Now we can start farming. And it's a Russian DD, so we have really good shell arcs with not the fastest reload. You're fast, your ship at least is fast, and you're reasonably maneuverable. Leningrad is special compared to the Minsk because you get 8-kilometer torpedoes, if you didn't know. And there's our first fire. We do have to watch out for the secondaries on a Prince Heinrich, so it's 9.5 kilometers, assuming he's got the full build. And since I'm greedy, in this one we're going to try and only light a single fire on each ship, and try and farm as much fire damage as we possibly can. The arcs, as you can see, are really great, out to pretty long ranges for 12 kilometers or so. The dispersion looks a little funky, but again, that's just because single turrets and sometimes my aim not being in the exact right spot. I'll admit it. Another fire, and now on to the Musashi. And we can notice the Prince Heinrich fire actually just went out. So we'll try and light a fire on him next. But the randomness of this game is often very frustrating, in my opinion. And it's very interesting being on the receiving end of good RNG, I guess it would be. It felt like I didn't really earn this game. Not really, since we just got so much dot damage. Damage over time, that kind of thing. That is a double fire in a Leningrad. And to remind you how the fire chance all works, we have a Leningrad with a 9% fire chance. And of course, the enemy ships, their hull has a base fire reduction. So for tier 9, I believe it's somewhere in the 40% range. I know tier 10 is 50%. So whatever your fire chance is, if you're shooting at a tier 10 ship, you have to cut that fire chance in half due to the hull of that tier 10 ship just naturally mitigating that much fire chance. So us being a tier 7, which is hopefully balanced against other tier 7 ships as we get another fire, against tier 9 ships, which have a much better fire reduction than what our ship is balanced around, we should be getting less fires than if we were facing against tier 5s, for example. And yet we're already up to 6 fires in 70 hits. Leningrad, of course, also gets a smokescreen, which is pretty handy for when other people are spotting for you, which is what I was hoping would happen with this Pommern pushing in. I believe, though, he was only spotted because he was shooting, so he goes dark. This is something that I try not to do as much as possible, which is smoke up and then not have someone spotting. I tend to not use very many smokes in my destroyers because I just value the spotting so much. And it's really, really important, not just for myself to get damage, but for my team to deal with these enemy ships that want to push in. We're already up to 60k, which is actually a pretty solid game for a tier 7 destroyer, I would say. But there's more coming. As you can see, the enemy team literally all came to this southern part of the sea flank. It's pretty common on a lot of these maps for everyone to just kind of clump in one area. So getting to farm this area was pretty fortunate on my part. But again, talking about RNG, I wish there was a little more consistency in this game. My entire day of playing, this current day, was pretty horrible, if I'm remembering correctly. I had some really, really bad games surrounding this one, and I don't really even think I played especially well in this game. I just shot my guns and got really, really lucky. Our fire damage is actually going to be higher than the damage we did with our main guns. That's goes to show you what we were doing in this game and how lucky we were actually getting as we get another fire. Alaska damage cons, he's on low health. It makes sense. We're trying to get as many permanent fires as possible. We're passively spotting as well. You can see up to 64,000 spotting damage, which is always good to do in a destroyer. But yeah, I think that RNG is frustrating. I'm sure you guys got that vibe considering my love-hate battleships video earlier. And it doesn't change in a destroyer or a cruiser. I really just see this kind of weird RNG stuff happen every once in a while. That's another fire. We're up to 11 now. I don't know. I don't know what the exact change would be. I'm not a game designer, but it feels like there's just too many dice rolls going on in the background. And it's easy to notice the ones that go against you, right? It seems kind of like the dice rolls are not going your way a lot of the time. You notice that kind of thing more, but I think it takes really extreme examples of good RNG to really start to notice, like, hold on, something's not quite right here. And at this point, I was already getting a little bit suspect, but even now, it's like, okay, you know, I'm having a decent game, you know, 120k or so already, which is really good. But in this next little bit here, you're just gonna see the exact moment where I assumed there was a glitch coming up. It's just ridiculous how good the fires were. I don't know. I'm hyping it up, but that's a double fire right there. Pretty quick, one after the other. And I get that there's probability and math and that and how it all works, but I think there should be some limits on how good your RNG can get and how poor your RNG can get, just to level out the game a little bit. And here comes a King George on low HP, and yes, he is my tier, so we should have decent balanced fire chance against him, right? That's the thought, at least, but we've been getting pretty lucky this game so far, and, well, our first salvo doesn't quite actually light him up, but just you wait. Here we go, first fire, next salvo, we get 2 more. I thought something was broken in the game. This is ridiculous. 18 fires in 200 hits in a Leningrad, and we're in a tier 9 game. So a lot of this should be lower than the normal fire chance you're going to get in a Leningrad against the tier 7 opponents you're facing. I don't know. Have you guys ever had a game with this kind of RNG where you got this lucky? I don't recall one where I have, or at least where I've noticed. I probably have had some really lucky games like this, but I haven't really noticed the good luck that I was having until this one. This one really stood out to me. I don't think this is okay, but at the same time, this is probably such an outlier for fire RNG that it's probably fine on average, but I can't imagine the enemy ships were having a good time fighting me when the Russian destroyer, that's incredibly hard to hit already, was just lighting fire after fire after fire. But that's going to be the game in the Leningrad today. I actually really like this ship a lot, if you're wondering, but don't expect matches like this one all the time. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.